So thank you for joining our session about Logpoint 7.1. We're very excited about this launch and tell you and show you a little bit about what it is that we have released this month. And with me today to do so is my really capable colleague, Eddie. Eddie is one of our senior product managers here with Logpoint, and he will go through some of the content that we have included in our newest release and how that can help you in how you work with Logpoint in the future. But first of all, I want to say that we will be taking questions at the end. So if you have questions along the way, just feel free to put them in a chat message to me and or Eddie, and we will go through the questions in the end. And of course, this session is recorded, as you might noticed. So I just wanted to highlight that so you are all aware. Yeah, but without further ado, I think I will just hand over the word to you, Eddie, and we can get started.
Excellent. Thank you, Gita. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, if we have anybody from Asia, and welcome. We had a big release with 7.1, and I'm here to tell you what's new in this version and why it matters to you. Why should you care? So I'm going to talk about the guiding principle, what was our lighthouse when we planned the version, and everything in the version aligns with those guidelines, what the improvements are for SIEM, for SOAR, and for UEBA. So first, the guiding principle. The guiding principle was making it easy. Focus on quick and easy integrations on content, and decouple as much as possible from releases. As of this version, we're going to have quick releases of SOAR, and those of you that are using SOAR may have noticed that we already had one SOAR release following the major SIEM and SOAR release in 7.1. We will have additional ones. We started to put in additional support for MSSPs in our SOAR product, and the coming releases, the fast releases that will be coming in the coming months, will be expanding on that support. And also, we're releasing content all the time, and that content can be consumed immediately without waiting for the next version. In terms of SIEM, there's a number of significant improvements. One big improvement is the generic REST ingestion. I'm going to talk about it in some more depth and explain how to use it, why it's important, and when you should use it compared to other things that may also do REST. We've improved the audit capabilities of the product. This is important for any of you that is doing an audit for audit purposes, but it's also a great tool for troubleshooting any changes in the policy if you need to know who made a change. Last but not least, we've integrated with our business critical application security for SAP in a tighter way. And we're now feeding flows from SAP that are user-related into our UEBA machine learning algorithms. And I'll discuss this in some more detail as well. If at any stage you have questions, I'll remind you, feel free to put them in the chat. I will answer everything at the end. And if there is anything we can't answer on the spot, we will get back to you via email. So first, the universal REST API fetcher. The reason we even needed one of those is that although it's quite easy to add a new log source to Logpoint, it still requires a little bit of code. And what we wanted to do here is enable those of you that are connecting many diverse log sources from the cloud to connect all of them quickly. So we have already quite a few log sources. For example, when you're looking at AWS, we already have log sources. For Azure, we have some of the log sources covered. But if you have a very diverse set of log sources that you want to cover, from SaaS applications, from infrastructure as service providers, from cloud providers, or even your own proprietary application, the Universal REST API fetcher allows you to do it without writing any code. It allows you to configure the authentication modes, and it allows you to configure all the parameters on all the different endpoints in the API. And you can see here multiple APIs connecting to a single service, and save you lots and lots of time connecting those new log sources. Because while we do provide new log sources continuously, and we do it fairly quickly, the variety of connections in the cloud made it a little bit too slow for some of our customers. And what we did is completely opened up this mode of connecting new log sources, so you could very quickly and very easily connect all those web-based log sources. It means that you can save time, and you can use all the log sources that can help you improve security. And of course, use those log sources to trigger playbooks. We'll talk about SOAR later. So that's the Universal REST API fetcher. Improved audit for SIEM means that we're logging every single change done on the system with the user who did it and the contents of the change. This, of course, is important if you have an audit and your auditor requires that every single change is logged in a way that is non-deniable and fully documented. But of course, it's also a very useful tool if you want to understand when something didn't trigger. Hey, did somebody change something here? When did that happen? What was the overall flow, and who changed and saved actually those changes in the past? If you're a larger organization, of course, if you're working on your own, it's nice only for jogging your memory so you remember when you did something. But if you have multiple users making changes to the system, this is a very useful tool for understanding exactly who did what when, and whether they should have done it in the first place. So everything is documented, and each of them can access their own actions and view how it affected their own view. So this is the improved audit view for SIEM. As you know, we've added support for business critical application security in SAP as a standalone and as an integrated capability in our SIEM. We're now adding additional capabilities in terms of UEBA here, and in terms of playbooks that we'll have later this year. So the ability to connect SAP data sources in UEBA means that customers can now detect anomalies on login or on access actions that are done inside SAP based on complex logs that exist inside SAP and are externalized to our UEBA engine that can detect anomalies in those access points. So what we do is actually extract the data that would have gone directly to the SIEM, and we pass it through our machine learning algorithms that detect anomalies. So any unusual volume of activity on specific types of actions or specific users or accessing specific resources inside SAP, all of that is externalized, and the machine learning algorithm would actually output both dashboards that would show overall behavior and anomalies that may trigger a specific alert pointing to anomalous behavior inside SAP, and going forward and handle it with a playbook that would automatically add additional data from additional sources, correlate with additional sources, and give you an even better processed and more univocal detection of an action. And then we had a pretty big release for SOAR. Our initial release for SOAR made sure that we had a good integration with the SIEM. But what you've told us is pretty much we need something that is easier to use, that is working right out of the box, and that we can pretty much get going with minimal changes, with minimal interaction, and without knowing a whole lot about SOAR. So one thing we invested in significantly is the overall GUI for SOAR. We have a completely new canvas editor, and I will show some of the capabilities. We have a completely new Playbook View and a new vendor product action view. And one of the things that we added specifically for MSSPs that might come handy for quite a few other users as well is SLA, service level agreement, measurement, and reporting, meaning that we measure how long it takes from the start of a playbook to the end of a playbook, how long it takes to respond, how long for first response, how long for actually closing an actual ticket. So let's look and see what we've got here. So first of all, we have the canvas editor. In the canvas editor, you can see that we can define roles, and we can actually do a lot of things. We can select actions, we can drag and drop them onto the canvas. We can focus the canvas on specific areas that are relevant and zoom in and out. We can export and import the entire playbook, so we can easily share with support or easily transfer to our lab environment or to an additional environment that an MSSP has and distribute stuff. We've added additional building blocks in terms of the ability to better process the results that are being received and better control the flow between the different components, as well as, of course, you may have seen, we constantly add new actions for new vendors of various types. The Playbook View makes it now easy to see any playbooks that are stuck or failed, and also see all the ones that succeeded, and allow you to count and modify and filter by the source or by time or by number of actions. See an overall dashboard so you know where you are with the playbooks. This is useful because at any given time, you know if there is any problem with the system, and you can tell for a specific playbook exactly where it is if it didn't end yet as you expected it to end. Very easy to search for it and to find it. We've also made it easy to add additional products. So like the SaaS interface, the REST interface that we added for log sources, it's very, very easy now to add new products. Although the chances you would need to do that are getting lower and lower. The number of actions is now already over 600 vendors, and the number of actions is in the thousands. So lots of things you can do. And I can see questions about stuff that can be done. And we'll discuss that. So this is the new vendor, new product, new action. In terms of SLA reporting, we have the ability to set an SLA. Set an SLA is nice because basically, if we look at the playbooks that we looked earlier, we can set a timer, and that timer counts how long we're actually taking until we're closing a case and completing the entire detection part and then the entire incident response part if it's needed. You can see here a breakdown of thresholds. So basically, it can be within the first threshold, within the second threshold, or exceeding the threshold. The way that our customers that did the initial deployment used it is actually they set a trigger to 85% of the time, and then run a playbook that escalated things to additional people to management if things were not closed on time, and then another trigger that warned that actually the threshold was exceeded. And of course, when everything is done, you can run reports and you can do breakdowns by user, by tenant, whoever needs this. So you can measure the time to respond, the time to remediate based on those playbooks. Another important thing we added, and you may have seen in the support portal, is the Logpoint Playbook Explorer. The Logpoint Playbook Explorer is really important for those of you that are starting out. And the question is, okay, so I want to start this first playbook. Let's look at the things that are important to me. Do I want to improve my handling of phishing, automate the investigation? Do I want to collect additional forensic data? Do I want to periodically track changes that were done on an admin user? So you have your use cases of what is most important to you. What the Playbook Explorer would give you for each and every one of those use cases, it would tell you how many integrations are needed. That's the second number here on the right. And how many of them you actually have already. So if Active Directory connection is needed for tracking the Active Directory admin user, so as soon as you tell the system that you have Active Directory and you have it connected, it would highlight the use cases that you can start doing today. If you're looking conversely at handling a phishing email, handling a suspicious email attachment with investigation, with delete, this actually requires 9 other different integrations, and you may not have all of them. It would tell you which one of them are missing and you need to add to be able to actually get the value of this integration. This is true in terms of sources, and this is true in terms of integrations, in terms of products that we connect to. Very, very useful, very easy to use, because you simply select the use case, right? At the CISO level, you're saying, I care about phishing. I'm spending a lot of time handling phishing emails nowadays. Let's see if I can automate some of those processes. So let's look at those 3 processes. What do I need? And the Logpoint Playbook Explorer will actually tell you what it is that you need and what it is that you can use immediately out of the box today, because you already have all the needed prerequisites. We also have improvements in terms of UEBA. The improvements in terms of UEBA were, first of all, in the GUI. So you can see improvements in the dashboards and in the overall view of the things we're detecting. And equally important, and for those of you that do have SAP, probably most important in this version, is the ability to actually feed data that comes from SAP into the machine learning algorithms that are powering our UEBA and detect anomalies in your SAP actions as a result of that algorithm, and then feed that further into playbooks and even automate the response into those services. Any questions about UEBA? And if not, I will move forward to answer your questions that you had earlier in the day about this. And if we have time, we might even do more than that. So any questions would be now. So I can see one question here saying, does the improved audit part apply to changes to Logpoint installation itself, or also to nodes that log to the Logpoint installation? So the audit is an audit at system level. So any changes that you make to the configuration is relevant, even if it's not necessarily local, but as long as it is part of the core Logpoint system. If the Logpoint system is monitoring an external device, it will not be part of the same audit. You can build an audit report for an external device, but it would be based on the logs that get forwarded to Logpoint, not on the internal Logpoint capability. So that was one question. There's another question around, which is an example of a playbook that uses UEBA. So those of you that have seen our demos recently know that this is actually our preferred demo flow. UEBA alerts, in general, anomaly alerts based on machine learning, they show stuff that is pretty hard to find because there's a huge volume of data to weed through. However, it does find several suspicious cases. Not all of them are necessarily ending up as an actual attack. So what we're doing at the playbook level with the UEBA stuff is, for every suspicious set of actions, we're looking to find additional actions, single actions that are suspicious. So for example, if we see a set of suspicious logins, we're looking on top of that on other actions that are not part of UEBA that were possibly done by the same user or on the same endpoint. And only if there was a set of sensitive, anomalous logins to a certain endpoint, and there was a communication from that endpoint outward, only then does the playbook show the case to an analyst, and all the other 20 cases in which there were anomalous, potentially anomalous logins actually get a lower priority. An analyst can still look at them when they have the time, but they would know to start with the one that is actually the interesting problem. Any additional questions from?
I think I see a question also, but it links kind of into what you were talking about, an example of a playbook that exists out of the box. So,
so one area where, excellent. So out of the box playbooks, one of the things we see happening a lot is actually one of the ones that look harder. So if you look at the use cases we were discussing earlier, in our exploration, the suspicious email attachment is actually one that we have out of the box and is proving to be quite popular with our customers. It means they need to integrate quite a few tools because those 9 the chain of 9 different actions means that we're connecting to the email system to actually fetch the email, and we're connecting to an external threat intelligence provider to verify if any of the attachment or any of the IOCs in the email are by any chance known bad, although the email system itself didn't find it to be bad. And then we're checking to see if any actions were done on the endpoint as a result of opening the email. And we're reaching out to the endpoint to actually clean it up and remove that file if it did indeed happen. We're reaching out if we find any IOC that is URL or IP based, we're reaching out to our firewalls to actually block any command and control for that attacker. So temporarily, but block it nonetheless. And when you look at the full set, you can see easily how we reach a set of 9 different actions and tools that are needed. But you can also think how long it would take you to do this manually, and why customers are really happy when this is automated. Because suspicious emails is something we deal with every day, quite a few times per day. The larger the organization, the more likely you are to have even in some cases, a dedicated analyst that releases blocked emails and investigates suspicious emails for the entire organization. So this is one of the things that was really popular with our customers. Great. So we're actually doing pretty well with time. I can show you possibly a nice view of the system itself. I don't know if you had a chance to see it already, but if you haven't yet, now would be a great time. I'll show you a little bit of the SIEM and SOAR new views. I told you they're really easy to use, but I'll show you a little bit of what you can see. So let's look at our editor with actually one of the out-of-the-box playbooks that we have. So adding an action, you can see very easy, completely drag and drop. A click here, and you can edit all the parameters. Connection, very easy. And you can see, for example, we have a SIEM incident coming in. We're actually querying and getting additional data from Logpoint. And then simply for each of the parameters, if there are multiple similar incidents, we'll run a playbook, right? So this is automating something that is very straightforward for many of us. In any of the investigations, when we have an actual incident, we want to verify similar incidents and group them together so they're in the same case. So you can see how we easily export. You can see the zip here. That zip is simply easily inputted into one of our other systems. You can see the status for the playbooks. And you can manage their triggers very easily. So triggers would actually say what needs to happen for a playbook to run. And we can manage those either periodically or, of course, from a certain query or alert coming from the SIEM. And this is new as well. If we're looking at the playbooks themselves, you can see that we already have some cloud ones. For AWS, for example, you can see another one. We have an event, and then we're checking whether a specific user exists, and then we prompt the analyst for disabling a user and then disable it in Amazon. So even when we're automating, and this is an example of a playbook that we've automated for a customer, even when doing stuff that is potentially completely automated, the playbooks can still interact with an end user. So you make sure that nothing is done without you knowing it, and that you still get full control of the system, even if we're helping you with automating some of the things. So those are some of the new things. And the UEBA dashboard that you saw earlier is also quite interesting. You can go and research by users. Henry Dave is our suspect here, and you can see him doing specific things, going all the way down into the detail, and then you can slice and dice by whatever they want to do, and use the fact that there is a significant risk for a specific user to trigger, going back to the triggers and the playbooks, to trigger a specific playbook that would verify that something is wrong. So having showed you a little bit of the live system, I'll remind you that you can all get all the data you want by going to our website and getting the information on 710. The full documentation is there, and the download links for downloading the version is there, and also newer download links that already exist for SOAR and will continue coming out for SOAR and UEBA even before 7.2 is out end of this year. So I hope you enjoy and get value out of this. If there's any help you require, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to help. And have a great day.
Thank you for that, Eddie, and thank you all for joining this session. This was really interesting, and I hope that you all feel the same. And I wish you all a good day, what time of the day it is where you're sitting. And we hope that you will participate in more of our webinars coming up. So take care, and thank you for today.